Deadlock's Shop update was a mistake that severely crippled the game's diversity and outright ruined the already delicate balancing. And I can't believe I haven't seen more criticism from the community about this, with the only person I've seen saying anything about this being my goat Skeleton Honey, which is so concerning because there's a couple of layers to the problems this update brought. The first being items no longer give you a static buff to your stats when purchased anymore. Instead, you receive stat increases based on total soul investment. This sucks. They implemented a soft cap to the scaling where any investment after 9600 souls will basically yield less with immense increase in cost. The next damage increase is 6400 for only 15%, then another 64 for 20%, then another 6400 for 20%. So 4 tier 4 items and a tier 3 for the top scaling that the total cost of that is 28,000, and most games end around the time you hit 30k. It's ridiculous how if you actually balance your spending into each category, you would be stuck right at that soft cap and will never see another increase in your stats unless you get a massive increase in souls or focus into one category. Gun damage has it the worst. Remember, the scale ends at 115% currently, but the soft cap starts at 60%. Over half the gun damage scaling is stuck behind the soft cap, which is why gun damage has fallen way the fuck off since the update. Health soft cap starts at 32 and ends at 44, which makes it the worst to invest beyond the soft cap because of how little you get in return. Spirit's soft cap starts at 44 and ends at 81. Now you may have noticed that Spirit is the new meta since the update dropped. This is mostly to do with Spirit power now being given with boons. And since some heroes simply scale better with Spirit than every hero with their gun, alongside Boundless Spirit being way easier to get, these heroes instantly became meta. Even with nerfs to scaling universally, they still sit at the top of the meta. I think Valve implemented these changes to curb the problem of people dumping all their souls into one category, like the deadbeat hazes you get every so often, but it had the complete opposite effect. Remember how I said the only way to break past these soft caps is to focus one category? Well, look at any of your games, and I promise you, you'll see a bunch of people completely ditch a category and dump souls into the others because it's the only way to break past these soft caps late game and get any reasonable damage out of characters. Because if you don't break past it, you're stuck at a very shit level of damage, even if you hit it early. I don't understand the slot reductions at all. The new scaling kind of suggested they wanted to keep the slots so you could actually total up to the higher scales with a couple tier 2 and 3 items, but instead they compressed the item slots down to 12 from 16. This is absolutely crippling. So many builds required a wide set of items to work, and reducing item slots neutered inconceivable amounts of ways to play the game, and completely destroyed certain heroes too. Shiv, Holiday, Viscus. Viscus in particular needs a lot of items to make his kit work. Without it, you're railroaded into focusing on one ability. It wasn't just that slots allowed more diverse gameplay, most interactions in the game relied on having more slots too. Counter items don't really have a use anymore. I cannot remember the last time I've seen someone actually use Metal Skin, Silencer, or Return Fire. Debuff Remover kinda lost its use because no one runs stuff like Suppressor, Mystic Slow, or Decay anymore. The slot reduction has forced so many items to the wayside because they simply aren't worth buying with the limited slots. You have items that used to be important and have relevance and are just never seen anymore because they don't break soft caps. Because of how limiting the scaling is, your items matter so much more now, but it cuts out so many aspects of the game. Extra stamina literally was seen in every game, used by 50% of players. After the update and after the meta has settled down, it's gone all the way down to 30%. But stamina was so important to the movement system of the game. Without it, the game's just slowed down tremendously. They even nerfed superior stamina to give +2 from +3. And speaking of items, they removed a lot of supplemental stats from items, which removed a lot of the incentive to buy these items and making them next to useless. They even removed features like with Transcendent Cooldown. They straight up removed cooldown reduction affecting item cooldowns and made it exclusive to this one item, and it's a 6k. They're removing interactions and functionality from the game and giving it back as a lazy and shit item. And this isn't balancing, it's cleaving gameplay, and it's making the game worse. One of my favorite items in the game was Heroic Aura. It gave bullet lifesteal, move speed, health, and a passive that made minions shoot faster, and an active that boosted move speed and fire rate. it wasn't that good. Although having a bunch of stats and uses to it, it was the worst 3k item for damage, and its lifesteal was very minimal but helpful. It was also one of the few ways to increase move speed, which was useful to slow heroes and anyone pushing lane. It was usable and had a fair reason to buy it, but it had a lot better alternatives. Compare that to now, where the passive just gives bullet resist and the active being the same but double the effect on minions. Two of the crucial stats of this item are gone, and all you get is a pretty shit passive in return. A lot of items have undergone this treatment. As of now, only 54 items in the game have a use rate above 10%. There are 151 items in total. Two-thirds of the game's items are almost never seen. Rip my beloved magic carpet. And for fuck's sakes, fix Shadow Weave. Just make it like Haze's smoke bomb already. The biggest and quietest change was to the boons. Before, you only got 11 damage and health increases that would end at 22k, which was mid-game. From there, the thing that allowed you to increase your stats further was the item shop. You actually had to invest into items in order to get a return. But currently, damage, health, and spirit all scale with each and every boon. And max boon level is 45k now. But most importantly, boons contribute the most to your stats, not the items anymore. Before, your health only doubled with max boons to around 1000. Now it's tripled at max boons along with the higher base health. So now you're looking at around max boons being 2500. Damage used to only just barely 2x your damage, but now it's 2.5 times, but with the lower base. So a lot of your damage is stuck in the higher level boons beyond, 30k and such. Combine this with the horrible scaling, it's more rewarding now to farm the whole game and get a soul lead, because with each and every boon, you get stronger than everyone else. Deadlock has already had a problem with steamrolling before. If you get a soul lead, you get ahead on farming and keep rolling ahead of everyone else with souls. This is why stuff like the urn is in the game. But after the last damage increase at 22k, the only lead they had was the items, and all you had to do to even the playing field was countering those items. But there's basically no way to catch up anymore. Trying a team fight down on souls is suicide. Trying to outscale people with more souls than you is impossible with the soft caps. And countering their items doesn't matter anymore, because their boons provide most of the damage increases now, not items. Billy puts it best.
There's no counterplay to being curb stomped from space.
There's no way to counter someone who simply has better stats than you. Did I mention they nerfed the armors too? One of the only items that helped with soul and balanced fights. Ugh. Deadlock is the most skill-expressive game ever, but it's actually fun to learn and fun to play. With how modular and creative its gameplay is, you sincerely could play however you'd like, but with this update, they've neutered items, killed their creativity, lobotomized the meta, and completely ruined how the game plays on a macro level. I love the art changes and the sound design, but the gameplay needs to change. First off, more item slots. This is non-negotiable. You need more slots to keep the game interesting and allow heroes to experiment and function. Secondly, change the boons and item scaling. You should have all your damage and health increases from boons at mid-game, and the majority of health and damage increases should come from items, not boons. If you don't invest into health or spirit, you shouldn't have much health or spirit. Third, give back supplemental stats. Give me back my heroic aura. Another point is that heroes need to have better interactions with the item shop. Why would you invest into Spirit as Haze? Trick question, you wouldn't. There's nothing here for you, and that's a problem. In the same vein as making items actually usable and viable, you need to make heroes function with Spirit specifically. There's also why Gun was meta for so long. They keep removing interactions and making heroes absolutely suck with spirit scaling. My most hated thing they did was remove the duration scaling for time stop of Paradox's wall. It was so frustrating because they used to use that to stop bebop hooks, and now it just doesn't work anymore. Why would you do this to me, Yoshi? Also, stop nerfing Paradox's ult. It's garbage already. Its only use is comboing into Pulse Nade and Wall, and it does less damage and has a longer cooldown than most heroes' one ability. Another thing I want to mention is that this game has quite a lot of glazers, people who will never legitimately criticize the game in any honest or fair capacity, which I think is going to be a problem. This has happened with other Valve games, CSGO, TF2. There's a lot of people who are so overtly positive about this game and so trusting into Valve that they hold and harbor all criticism and just believe that Valve is going to just do the right thing for their game, but they almost never do. Valve fucks up their games a lot, and they often do that by ignoring huge sections of the community and only focusing on a small group's opinions. And I hope they don't do that for this game. This game is one of the best games that they've ever put out, honestly. It could be better than Half-Life if it, gets fixed. But they need to listen to criticism. They need to listen to the community as a whole rather than just these small section of players. I know they have the most hours. I know they're probably the best. I know they play it the most, but I don't think that they know what's best for the game. We saw this with TF2, right? Valve wanted to make the game more competitive, and they enlisted a group of competitive players to help them do that. And they made an update, and it was the worst update in TF2 history. It ruined the game. And I know there's a private beta within the public beta, right? I've seen the leaked screenshots. There's a bunch of Twitch streamers and YouTubers that have secret, super secret beta that they have access to and where they give feedback to Valve. And I know that they're absolutely listening to these people more than the entirety of their community. They probably got a lot of their ideas for the item update from that small beta test. And I don't think that's a good idea, really. You can't listen to a small portion of your community about something that's going to affect everyone. You're not building a game for them. You're not building a game for the, 2,000 people who play this game religiously every day and get all the highest ranks. You want to make this game for everyone who actually enjoys playing it.